Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. For today's vlog, I am going to answer some of the common questions I received from IG and from my Facebook page. For my sender, I hope you don't mind that I will be sharing your questions here in my vlog. I believe that those questions are very helpful to those aspirants who wants to work and who wants to study here in Japan. For those who are new to my channel, let me give you a little background about myself. I am an assistant language teacher here in Japan, but I was a language student when I first came here in Japan. I will be reading each of those questions, but just an overview for the topic that we are going to talk about. Before we continue, let me just give an overview of the topic. The first one is, how do Japanese teach us? Number 2, what's my agency? Number 3, is there an age limit? And then number 4, I think this is one of the important questions. Is there a bright future waiting for me there in Japan if ever I will pursue my studies going there? Stay tuned, and by the way, please do not forget to subscribe. Please do subscribe. So let's start and let me read the message from our first sender. Ask lang po if magkano po ang rent nyo dyan. So my apartment rent here is at 36,000 yen. And it's not included yet with the electricity, the water, and the gas. Okay, let's go to another question. Good evening, Miss Dina. May I know where and how you applied to study in Japan? Thank you and God bless. So I applied through agency, and this agency was been so helpful to me. I applied through Lead. Please feel free to check the link on my description below. And let's go to the next question. Konnichiwa, I am an aspiring Filipino who is about to study in Japan next month po. Ate, sinubaybayan ko yung YouTube mo po, and may mga gusto po kasi ako itanong sa'yo about studying in Japan in terms of, number 1, paano magturo ang mga Japanese? Number 2, mauuna po ba ituro ang kanji or minano nihongo po muna ang gagamitin? Number 3, what are the things that I need to make in advance sa lessons if ever na may kanji po? And lastly, number 4, paano po ang terms nila in terms of noun, pronoun, adverb, etc.? It's very organized question. So before I answer that question, let me share my experience. Again, each school has different ways and their own system. When I first came to school, the first thing I did was to take the entrance test because they want to know what's my level in Japanese. They want to know which class I belong. Okay, going back to the questions, number 1, paano ba magturo ang mga Japanese? It's quite different when I came here because in a classroom settings, the teachers will really use Japanese. Their ways of explaining things are all in Japanese. So the first day expected that like that. But as you go along, day by day, again, do not worry because they will also check your ability and your level, and they will go along with the lessons based on your level. Our school used this book, and this book is for N5. When I left the school, I have the yellow book, and this is for N4. So because my score at that time when I started was so low, I belong to the N5 class. Beginner dyan siya, no? Super beginner. So let's say, for example, lesson 1. The lesson 1 here is hajimemashite. So you really don't need to worry actually regarding their lesson style because Japanese are so organized and they will really walk you through as you learn. So basic jo, depende sa imong level. They will not introduce the lesson immediately. Okay, based on my experience, what my teachers did is to introduce first the vocabularies that you will be using here for lesson 1. They provided us a copy of the translation for those vocabularies that we are going to use in lesson 1. So that's what their style. So again, the first thing that they will do is to introduce those vocabularies that you will be using for lesson 1. After you will learn those words, they will introduce the topic. So for example, you can see a picture here. They will post those pictures on the board, and then they will ask the students depending on what you understand, what you see. So for example, this one, you can raise your hand. Aisatsu. So aisatsu means in English introduce, like they're doing aisatsu, they're doing greetings, introducing themselves, like that. So yeah, you're correct. So they will appreciate you. Don't be afraid to answer those questions na ihatag sa imong teacher. It's because it will really help you as you learn the language. I mean, as you go along with the next pages, the level of difficulty also increases. So for example, this one. So they will introduce the topic now. What do you think they are talking? So they will ask you that kind of question. Of course, you will answer in Japanese, no? Tabun, hajimemashite, aisatsu shimasu, like that. Teachers will not really confirm yet if the answers were correct or not, because they will let us listen to the conversation first through the CD.
私はパクです。よろしくお願いします。
はじめまして、ダニエルです。こちらこそよろしくお願いします。
はじめまして。よろしくお願いします。
すみません。お名前は？
ワンです。中国人です。よろしくお願いします。ダニエルさん、お国はどちらですか？
After listening, you will get how they say it, how they say the grammar, and of course, the next pages of the book, there is actually a kaiwa here. And this is what you will going to role play. I really like the role play. You can be so creative. I like the fact that my classmates were of different nationalities and different ages. So it's quite fun interacting with those different people, different mindset and different personalities. So it's quite fun. I also receive questions like, is there an age limit? Now by age limit, the answer is no. There is no age limit if you want to obtain a student visa here in Japan. However, please be advised that each school has different guidelines. So you need, or you better ask the school first. And going back to the role play thing, I really like that style because every one of us had the chance to speak. So I really like it. What to expect on your first day of formal class is of course self-introductions. So prepare your jikoshokai. Like for example, your
私はティノです。フィリピンから来ました。and so on, so on. So
like those self-introduction. Everyone wants to know you, of course. Okay, let's go to the topic about preparation in learning kanji. I guess let me start by saying it first. Do not pressure yourself too much. Why? Because here in Japan, once you arrive here, language school set up, based on my experiences, what they will do is that they will teach you the step-by-step process. Being good with something is not a success that happens overnight. It's really a step-by-step process. So going back to the questions for preparations with kanjis, if you are still in your home country and learning the language, you can download some app, join online lesson, or watch YouTube to learn a lot. And just enjoy learning. Don't pressure yourself too much, because I actually received a message before telling me and asking me, Ate, what to do because I am so stressed already learning language, like learning the kanji, because I'm so afraid when I come to Japan and blah 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 like that. No, don't do that because it's unhealthy. So just enjoy learning and have fun. Okay, let me share to you the kanji copies that I got when I was still a student. So for example, in 1 week we have a day in a week to study kanji and to familiarize things. So these are some of examples. Like we will study how to write it. They will check that for us. So as simple as that. What's your level in Japanese? Ha 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 ha. So actually, I don't know what's my current level because I did not take any GLPT test yet. However, because I also really want to level up my Japanese skill, hopefully I'll be able to pass the test this coming December. So, N4 lang sa ano, kaya murag, kuyo-kuyo mo ng N3, uy, murag, di pa na makayang N3 na ako. It's been a year that I really didn't focus on studying Japanese language. So, that's why. Diba July din po kayo? Ngayong July 2024 din kasi ako nakasked. Matagal po ba ang processing ng docs? And what month po nag-start ang school interviews? For school interviews, I'm sorry, I cannot remember anymore. When was that for July intake? But for the document processing, I think that was 4 to 5 months because I needed to study 180 hours of Nihongo, and that was for 2 months. And then I needed to reach out to my previous company to get my certificate of employment and to also reach out to my school for the school records. And then right after I submitted all the documents to the agency, the thing that I was waiting was the certificate of eligibility, and that document is needed for the visa around 1 month or so, I think. So overall, maybe 4 to 5 months in the span of time for processing my documents before I was able to come here. If you are planning your path here in Japan as a student, I think it's very important to consider your years of study while you are here in Japan. And I will be sharing to you this information because I think this is really helpful. July intake, it's summertime and it was super hot at that time. And for July intake, the duration of study will be 1 year and 9 months. If you are April intake, that's gonna be springtime, duration will be of 2 years. So this is most common intake for long-term Japanese language programs and typically lasting until March of the second year. Next is October intake. For October intake, that's gonna be the autumn season. Okay, duration is 1 year and 6 months. And the last one is January intake. This is winter season. The duration is 1 year and 3 months. And this is the shortest full-term language program. Alright, question. Is it possible to change your visa from student to working visa even though you cannot finish the duration of years of your studies here in Japan? The answer is yes. Yes, as long as there is a company that can sponsor you a visa, but there are several factors that need to be considered. And here are the factors, but I would just like to highlight number 4, number 6, and number 7. 4 and 7 are actually related. Number 4 is school notification. Be sure to properly notify your language school about your decision and follow any procedures that they may require, especially if you are on a tuition payment plan. Then number 7, your past attendance. Keep in mind that your school attendance record might be reviewed. Immigration generally prefers consistent school attendance, so ensure that you have been compliant. And lastly, for number 6, financial stability. Immigration authorities will also want to ensure that you will be financially stable under your new employment. And if there are any other questions regarding visa change, you can also ask your company. And yes, though I was July intake, I didn't finish my 1 year and 9 months of studies because I found a company who sponsored my visa. They hired me and changed my visa from student to instructor visa. And that was the start of something new. That was my biggest plot twist. When I found this company who sponsored my visa, I told it to the school and they did not allow me at first. So it was really a struggle, but I was just so glad that they let me graduate and I got my certificate from them. And then, to be honest, those times were the most crucial and the most difficult part of my journey here in Japan. So that was so stressful. I did not share this to my previous vlogs, but during that process, I was so nervous because prior to that, I applied to this agency, and that agency told me that it's very difficult to process and change my visa from student to instructor because my years of education with my bachelor's degree is very difficult to understand. For those of you who don't know, I'm an ETIAP graduate and I tried my best to explain that to the said agency, but they did not understand about the ETIAP program. So that was the story of my previous agency that I applied. And when I got this new agency who hired me as an assistant language teacher, they told me that I need to submit my documents so that they can change my visa from student to instructor. And when I submitted all those documents during the process, I was so scared and I got a lot of what if inside me. So those were the most stressful because I was so anxious and I got a lot of fear inside me. What if, blah, 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 what if, like that. But my visa was changed from student to instructor. Pagkakita gid na ko sa akong visa bitaw, I mean sa akong residence card, it shows there nga, hala, instructor visa na ko. Kanang wa ko kasabot sa akong ma-feel, but I was so emotional nga gitawagan din gi-message din ako akong sister, and then my sister was also been so happy for me and I cried. So siya. I studied for around 8 months before my visa was changed. Transfer location Tano because it's already late in the evening. It's quite late already and I have neighbors. And here in Japan, their walls here for rooms are not that concrete, so you can really hear the people from the other room. So I don't want to disturb them. Okay, and the last question, and I think one of the most important questions. Hello po, Ma'am Dina. I am planning to apply sa isang agency. May mag-sponsor po sa akin and they're leading their applicants sa Japan. Nakita ko po yung vlogs niyo. Actually, I'm a bit nervous po and my fear sa akin. I'm preparing myself po at nakatulong mga vlogs niyo po sa akin since I, too, will going to pursue teaching in Japan. If okay lang po sa inyo and if you're not busy, would you mind to lend me po some pieces of advice and encouragement to ease my fear? My bright future po ba naghihintay roon for me? Should I take this opportunity po? Hihihi. Thank you po, Ma'am Dina. Okay, so let me answer this question as honest as possible. Teaching job is quite a lot here. If you are a college graduate, it's really an advantage. It's because it does not require you to have a higher level of Japanese skills, unlike other profession that they will require N4, N3, or N2. For students, it's not really difficult to find a job because the school will really help you find a job. On my case, I found my teaching part-time job on my own, and then my other part-time job was introduced to me by my school. So I have part-time jobs when I was studying here in Japan. I also have friends from other cities and from other prefectures. The school also helped them find their part-time jobs, so it's not really a problem at all, I think. And so now let me talk about the things that you may expect once you come here in Japan. If you go abroad, expect that you will experience culture shock and then homesick. My first 2 months here, I was so excited and I feel like, oh, freedom. But after 2 months, wala na. The silence here in Japan is so deafening. Makabungog ilang kahilom dewi. It was a big turn of changes because I came from a loud family, a big happy family. And when I came here, it was so different. But the biggest factor actually at that time was financial problem, because during the time when I was a student, I need to catch up with my apartment rent, with my tuition, my utilities, and all other expenses. So I was so stressed. Maka-stress yun nang wala tayo pa-budget, no? So that's the reason why it was such a big factor for me. But in spite everything, I still managed to continue because I have this goal. If you are a language student and you are at the point of giving up, then always go back to your goal and always go back to your whys. Why are you here? And for the aspirants who wish to become a language student here in Japan in the future, if ever you will experience some challenges, always hold on to your reason why you came here. So that's, I guess, the thing I can share. I'd like to share to you about the quote that I really like from the book that I'm currently reading. The title of the book is 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And it says here, the more tuned in you are to your purpose and the more dedicated you are to growing toward it, the better your chances of reaching your potential, expanding your possibilities, and doing something significant. I really save this quote because I really like it and I can relate to this. When I first came here, and even when I was still in the Philippines, I have this goal that I kept, and it fueled me that in spite of those difficulties that I encountered, I was just still so focused with my goal. And to answer and close it, going back to your question, if there is a bright future if ever you will come here, I think only you can answer that. And for sure at this moment you are weighing things out. If you have that dream, all you have to do is believe. So I hope this vlog is helpful, and hopefully I'll be able to see you more on the next coming vlog. So see you. Have a great night, everybody.